Hello, everyone. Okay, again, welcome back to the channel. I am so appreciative to everyone who takes the time out of their busy life to stop by, especially during the holiday season. So this will be Tuesday afternoon's presentations from Startup Week. Again, the audio and video were things that were both in and out of my hands as it comes to some of the way that things happened. The speaking hall was not acoustically adept for recording in the manner that I did. However, I'm a complete amateur again, as I stated Monday on this. So please enjoy the presentation clips from Tuesday afternoon at Startup Week. Again, if you want any of the clips played out in the entirety, I have them. Please just comment on which ones that you would like to see all of, and I'm happy to post them. So here's Tuesday afternoon.
I didn't know that Wichita was even on a map, truth be told, until I was in college. And so I was taking my, going for my interview, I didn't know if I was to expect a cornfield or like anything else. And so I was very happily surprised and loved being here for that amount of time. I spent about 4 or 5 years doing techie stuff and startup stuff when I was at Koch Industries. I was there for about 4 or 5 years, and then jumped out and ran an angel investor group here in town called Accelerate Venture Partners. It was a leap of faith that basically was like, you know, hey, do you want to come out, work for half the pay, but work more hours, but have more fun doing it? And I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. And so that was sort of my foray into helping work with startups. And I enjoyed that for the last 5 years. It was awesome. And then basically family and all of that are back in Northwest Arkansas. So I found a reason to get back there and became like the traditional boomerang on that front. So it's been a lot of fun. I've been there for maybe the last 6 months or so. I'm coming up on 6 months. It's been a really quick 6 months, but I've really enjoyed getting back there. And so being in the startup community here and then being in the startup community in Northwest Arkansas for 6 months, I felt it was kind of interesting just to talk about some of the things I've seen. I know a lot of folks kind of look at a local startup community and try to ask themselves, like, how do we compare relative to others? Are we doing well? Are we not doing well? And I've lived in a couple now, and so I felt like it was kind of nice to be able to do that. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of compare and contrast between the two cities from what I've seen. Like, what could possibly go wrong? So if you hear anything that you like, it was my idea. If you hear anything that you don't like, it was someone else's idea. So just know that that's how all of this is. I'm going to do it through a few different layers. Start off with sort of the center point, the entrepreneurs, the founders that are here. Jump out a little bit and start to talk about the community at large as well. Talk about some of the entrepreneur support organizations and just sort of how I see some similarities and differences there. And then lastly, everybody likes to talk about money, and so talking about the funding environment as well. I also, that's most of my time that I spend, and so I want to do a little bit of a lens on that too. Again, hashtag on all of these asterisks. This is my, my experience. Some of this is probably a level of reality, some a little bit of perception, but like that's, it's my perspective at least. I try to be as data-driven as I could, but there's only so much that I can do with that. So, we'll get started off here on the founder side. Really what I have seen between kind of these two different areas, as I see Wichita and I see Northwest Arkansas really has starting to see some industries or verticals of focus in the entrepreneurs that are there, right? They've got a lot of retail presence there with Walmart and all of those things, and so you're seeing supply chain tech and retail tech, and those are really burgeoning or really growing areas of startup focus areas. I see kind of Wichita, and in the last 4 or 5 years that I was here, there's a lot more of like a generalist view. You've got people that are in fintech and crypto and HR and really all across the board. And so to me, it was really interesting to see kind of the delta between the two of those, of seeing different pockets and different areas come through. There have been a few, what I'll call kind of big exits, as people typically call them. There's a few different brands and a few different companies that have had really big exits in Northwest Arkansas in the last couple of decades, but none of them have been really technology. The couple of big wins have really been agencies. So you think a marketing agency, a digital ads agency, even like a portfolio of brands was a big exit. And so you started to see second-time founders really come out from that here in the last couple of decades, which to me is, it's kind of cool to see as some of those, but it's not necessarily in the technology space or the software developers. And so that's been a really interesting thing that I've seen there. On the Wichita side, I remember like most of the entrepreneurs we work with, they're first-time founders, and that's awesome. I love people that are going kind of down this entrepreneurial track for the first time, and they're learning a lot of these things. And so to me, as I'm seeing kind of the comparisons between the two, there's not a good or a bad on this. It's just people are on a different version of their journey, and that to me is I'm hopeful that as we look at like the 20-year horizon here, we're all very similar right now, and you'll start to hear kind of this theme a little bit. I would say for I'm trying to think of what else. The size as well was another area that I was a little bit surprised with. We have about 75 to 100 people in both of these cities that call themselves entrepreneurs or founders, and so honestly, like even from a sizing perspective, both of them are very similar. They're looking a little bit different. Certainly some of the entrepreneurs are focused on different things depending upon which group that you go to, but overall size of entrepreneurial community is about the same. I was a little bit surprised by that. I was expecting more down in Northwest Arkansas, and the answer is they're about at a comparable space to to Wichita.
Okay, ladies all joining me on the stage here on the hut. It's nice to see a few familiar faces here. This is kind of fun. And it's so nice to be able to brag on these ladies and just some of our group, tell you a little bit more about what we do. Thanks for the introduction. As she said, I'm Delina Wallace, and I am busy. And I never intended on having a business. You know, I never saw myself as a business owner, never would have referred to myself as an entrepreneur, let alone an education entrepreneur. But we're hearing a lot more about that. We're hearing a lot more about people who are getting creative, and a lot of times we tend to think of educators in one box, but not necessarily in the box of like business owners. You know, you think, oh, educators do this, they teach, they educate. Well, it turns out that there's some pretty amazing, exceptional people who are starting to, in addition to the teaching that they're doing, say, you know what, I think I'm gonna pivot just a bit, because what I've been doing, how I've been teaching, if I've been in a traditional classroom or homeschooling my kids, whatever it may be, maybe that's not just all I should be doing. Maybe I want to have a greater impact in the community, and I think I can do things better. So that's what our group is all about. WISE stands for Wichita Innovative Schools and Educators, and we're a network. We're only a year and a half old in our existence. Let me see, give you a little bit of background just as our organization has formed. I'll introduce these ladies here after this, but so WISE started in April of 2022, and it started a little bit before then. I can't see the slides at all. Oh, there we go. That's kind of a representation. That's only a few of our schools. We have 25 paid members in our organization that value community. We value the support, the camaraderie. When you think of traditional educators in a school system or in a school, you know, brick and mortar school, they would have a teacher's lounge where they'd be able to like hang out and talk about things. And these innovative educators are kind of out there doing things independently. They're autonomous in their business, and they don't really have that network. They don't really have that community. So I started reaching out. I'm kind of just going a roundabout way, but I started reaching out to them one-on-one. As a homeschool mom, I remember experiencing like, hey, it can be really hard and it can be really lonely. You feel really isolated doing this work by yourself. So about 5 years ago, or 7 years ago, I think it was 7 years ago, I started reaching out to homeschool moms saying like, let's connect, let's show support for each other, let's visit and have community building activities. I would host them in my home and have coffee talks and just build a sense of support system for everybody. And so when I heard about microschool founders, who were these independent business owners and educators, I thought, they need that too. Like, we do not want to be siloed off, completely separate. We want to have a sense of community.
Well, this is not a set it and forget it situation. It's not. It's not build your Google business profile. Okay, I have my number, I have my hours, I have my address, it's good to go. No, this is not a set it and forget it. Putting in the time to optimize your Google business profile will provide greater search results and give you the opportunity to be found more often. Around 90% of the world population only looks at the first page results. Show of hands, how many go to page 2? Just a few of you, okay. It's a little inside joke, but if you want to hide a body, you put it on Google page 2. Because Google's profile is a snapshot of your business, you want to make sure that you're highlighting your business's best features to help potential customers find you through a Google search. When optimizing your business, you want to take these things into consideration. Fill out all the information possible. Be meticulous with the information you provide and keep it up to date. Remember, completing your Google Business Profile listing will help you with the point score that Google goes off of that is used to rank you higher in the map pack. When people browse Google, they'll first see your business description. Make the most out of this. Use all 750 characters, but keep the most important information within the first 250. Utilize keywords that potential people are going to be searching for. For instance, if you are a wellness clinic or a chiropractic clinic, let's say, you want to put lower back pain. You want to put other keywords that people are going to be searching for. You don't want to put jargon that you know of, but maybe your customer base does not. Ultimately, the more content you provide, the more photos you'll get from Google. Here are the 3 most basic things you should have updated on your Google Business Profile. At the very least, if you don't have these, you're missing out on a ton of business. So optimizing your content. So let's do a checklist now. And we'll go one by one on what you need to update. Make sure you have a complete profile. Fill in all the details, even if you're unsure of some of the content. Make sure you update everything with the most accurate information, and most of all, be consistent. So if it's on your Facebook, it needs to be on your website. If it's on your website and Facebook, it needs to be on your Google Business Profile. If it's on your Google Business Profile, well, then it needs to be on all the other online directories. And fun fact, there's over 60 of them. When you're putting in keywords for a search engine, put in words that people are going to use to find your business. I've said it before, but for instance, like a landscaper, you want to put in mowing or gardening. Add in your areas that you serve. There's a maximum of 20. Do not put more than 20, but be very specific in the areas that you do service. Lastly, at the bottom of the page, you have your products information. This is very, very, very important. This is the first three things people will see when they look at your business. So make sure you update them with the 3 most important products or services you provide. Now, if anybody's gone into their Google Business Profile before, you see that there's a product section and a service section. But here's a little tip here. If you put your services under your products, I know it doesn't make any sense, but follow me here for a minute. If you put your services in the products, then you get to attach a picture. And most people are more attracted to pictures than just keywords, which is even more true on Google. Upload 1 or 2 photos every week of your business, products, or services, and make sure that you're using your company logo as your thumbnail photo and profile photo. Avoid stock photos. Everyone is using them, they're everywhere. Make sure yours are taken from your business, even if it's just from your camera. People like doing business with people. If you can use photos of happy customers, or staff, or a well-kept premises, or gorgeous looking products, those are the photos to use. Geotag your pictures. They'll come up when people are searching for things related to your business, along with location. Updating posts and events. Now, at the bottom of your Google Business profile is the Google Business post. Okay? You usually see 3, and then you see a scroll bar, and you can scroll further and further. So why is this important? People don't go to the bottom of a Google Business profile to capture consumers and get business. No. But the reason why you want to post there is because that helps with your overall ranking and quality score with Google. Plus, if you use keywords, that's another place to put your keywords and your events, they're going to be easier to find. Make sure in those posts that you include an image and add a clickable call to action, like visit the website for more details, or click here for specials.
Hi everybody, like you said, my name is Paige Reese. I am an attorney at Hush Blackwell. I actually practiced in Kansas City, but that's kind of temporary. I'm hoping to get back down here to Wichita eventually. My husband's in school up there right now, but hoping to get back to the Wichita community soon. I born and raised in Wichita, went to college in Wichita, and then went on to Washington Law for law school. I've always been interested in intellectual property law because it's really exciting to see the beginning of an idea that somebody just writes down in a Word document, sends over to us, and we get to file it, and it becomes a really successful product eventually. So intellectual property is very exciting. There's a lot of different terms that are used when it comes to IP, so I'm here to talk through those and give some thoughts on trademarks, copyrights, patents, trade secrets. First things first, your typical attorney disclaimer. I'm not your attorney, just here to give just general thoughts on intellectual property law, but would be happy to engage with you if that would be something you'd be interested in. Okay, on to the fun stuff. So when we think about intellectual property, there's typically 4 buckets of intellectual property we look at. You see trademarks, copyrights, patents, and trade secrets. Also, sorry, I'll back up. If you have any questions throughout this, just raise your hand. I'm not a stickler on presenting and then doing Q&A, so if you have any questions, just raise your hand. I'm happy to answer them. All right, so we'll start off with trademarks. Trademarks are all directed to source identifiers and being able to provide a consumer with an understanding of what a product is based on its name. So unlike the other types of intellectual property, trademarks are all about protecting consumers against, if I'm driving down the road and I see a McDonald's, I want to know that a McDonald's 200 miles away is going to provide the same products and provide the same services as McDonald's right next to my house. So unlike trade secret, patents, copyrights, trademarks are not directed to awarding you for something that you created. Instead, it's all about protection of consumers to know what they're going to get when they're getting a product or a service. So when you're talking about goods, you're talking about trademarks. When you're talking about services, those are service marks. And trade dress, which I won't really talk about much, those are like product packaging. Okay, so first thing, you can have a word as a trademark, like Google there. It's an indicator of what services or goods that you're providing. So word, Google, phrase, just do it with Nike. You have logos like Apple. You have a combination of a word and a logo like McDonald's. You can also have a color, which is interesting. So like Tiffany Blue, they have a registration for Tiffany Blue color. Then there's also sounds that use the trademark, so the NBC sound. When you turn it to NBC, they have a trademark on that. And product packaging, trade dress, like the Coca-Cola bottle. Okay, so some fundamentals. When you're talking about I'm starting a business or starting a company and I have a name for it and I want people to know, I want people to associate my name with my goods or services. A lot of times people will see that R with a circle around it. That means that you have a registered trademark, whereas a TM or an SM just means that you are asserting that you have trademark rights in the name that you're using. So you don't actually have to have a registration to be able to use the TM or the SM. So if I provide you with one tip today, it would be to just start using that TM on your name or your logo, because that asserts to the general public that you do have common law trademark rights in that. But don't use the R with a circle around it unless you have a registration. Now, what rights do you have when you have a trademark? So it's not actually required to register with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. You definitely can, and it provides certain benefits, but it's not a necessity. So if I'm just starting a business in Wichita, I have no intention of expanding nationwide, then maybe it just makes sense for me to rely on my common law rights that I'm already gathering through the use of selling my product in Wichita. But if I plan to go nationwide, or I plan to go and start selling in St. Louis, Missouri, well, maybe it might make sense to then register my mark with the United States Patent and Trademark Office, because I want those nationwide rights. The common law rights that I've already been kind of talking about, is all about me actually using the mark in connection with selling goods or services. So a lot of times people will say they'll say a fun catchphrase and then they'll say, oh, I have a trademark on that. Well, okay, that's all fun and good, but in actuality, you only actually start acquiring common law rights to the extent that you're actually using it in commerce. So if I have a plan to have a product with a certain name, but I haven't used it yet, then there's no common law rights that have attached to that use of the name yet. So, should you register the trademark? Obviously there's going to be some, a certain level of credibility that you might get through registering your trademark. Like I mentioned before, you might be interested in registering it if you are planning to go nationwide, you want to expand your business. There's also certain enforcement advantages to registering with the USPTO, and after 5 years it's an incontestable mark, so that then somebody else can't come out and say, oh, well, I started using that first. You had it registered with the USPTO, and so you have certain enforcement rights that go ahead of them. Additionally, actually having a registration puts others on notice of your mark and your use of that mark in connection with the goods or services that you're providing. So that means that helps with others being able to search for their new product name. Say I come up with a new name and I think, oh, Apple is the best name for a new computer. Well, I'm going to go and search and see, oh, Apple already exists in the computer space, so I can't use it. With common law rights, there's not a great search engine. There's third-party tools that we can obviously use to see whether or not there are other uses out there that weren't registered. But registration puts other people on notice that you do use it and that you are asserting that you use it in commerce.